Let's move to Delta Airlines, which is a leading airline in the US, and it has a market cap of $37.2 billion, price to earnings ratio here of 8.6, dividend yield of 1.6%. So how does Delta fare? Obviously a big commercial airline opportunity with this one. Yeah,
Delta is currently the analyst's favorite, I think. Paul, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But you know, in the US, American airlines go in and out of Chapter 11 bankruptcy with monotonous regularity. But at this point in time, they seem to be doing reasonably well. And Delta, I think, is pretty much at the head of the pack there. As you say, Bronwyn, it's not a particularly expensive share. What, 8.6 PE? It's not expensive at all. But bearing in mind the cyclicality that I referred to earlier, it's perhaps a justifiable type of PE. This company's got a strategic stake in a company called Aeromexico, which may not be the best place to be invested at this point in time, given the current situation you have between the US and the Mexicans, particularly with Donald Trump. But nevertheless, you know, they're spending a huge amount on transforming their fleet. Their fleet age is going to come down, I think, from what, 17, 18 years, average age to about 15. And in the aircraft industry, that's actually relatively young. So I think it's got a lot going for it.
Let's have a look at the share price graph, Paul, before you take us further. Again, we're seeing that a similar upward movement towards the end of the share price graph.
Yes, so look, it did well in 2015, and that was because the oil price is coming down. Because you understand that translates directly to margins. Oil price determines the price of aviation gas, which is what the airplanes run on, and so it all just fattens up the margins. This is a big, big operation. They fly to all corners of the world. It's obviously US based. It's got its headquarters at Hartsfield-Jackson, which is Atlanta International Airport. It's the leading US carrier, although as Chris says, they don't, you know, plenty of opposition and competition there. If you go to any of those US regional airports, full. Everything's always full. The flights are full, the airports are full, everybody's going someplace, and that is increasing all of the time. Although I think, as Chris says, it looks cheap, but it probably deserves to be cheap because the industry itself has these twists and turns. Obviously they did very poorly a couple of years ago when oil was so high. I don't know, what can you say?
Well, what we've got to ascertain is whether there's a buying opportunity here, given the fact that you say it's relatively cheap, but deservedly so.
Yeah, look, I take a slightly contrarian view in this one. Whilst I believe that you know, we may see the oil price going slightly higher, I also see the global economy doing quite a lot better this year, and particularly the US economy. And therefore, I think we're going to see more people traveling, and Delta is the prime airline in the US, so I think the prospects are actually not that bad.
So for you, this one is hot as well?
I think it's hot.
Paul?
One additional interesting wrinkle to put on the table is that because of national security concerns, US airlines are protected from foreign competition and are also protected from foreign ownership. So, you know, one of the European airlines couldn't come in and buy Delta. That's obviously a net negative because, you know, having a bit of foreign interest could get things going. What is a positive is that it's harder for big international airlines. They can't operate regional flights as far as I know. So British Airways can fly from London into the US, but they can't transport people onwards from like New York to San Francisco, which is like, what the hell?
There's a monopoly.
Yes.
Which is,
and as you know, Americans don't really care about what anybody else thinks. That's just
America
their rules.
First. It is America first.
Their rules, their way or the highway. But what it does is it creates a sort of preferred environment for them. I don't know. I think it's currently...
Well, Chris has called it hot, so where are you going with this one?
It feels like it's fairly fully priced, but at the same time, I agree with him regarding the consumer environment and the economy and joblessness falling in the US. I'm going to go hot as well.
You're going hot. Well,